Welcome to Strengths Champion Solutions, where we help organizations grow stronger, work smarter, and lead wiser. We champion your people like your business depends on it. And today I have to admit to you, I'm feeling really unmotivated. Seriously, I had a really hard time making myself do this LinkedIn Live and present this information. I'm your host, Brent, and I'm being confidently vulnerable with you. And that is this question that not only myself, but many people wrestle with. And that is, how do we find our motivation and willpower? Now, for myself, I've physically been sick the last 4 days. And I can definitely tell my energy level, my physical strength is not as strong as usual. But also, I think mentally and emotionally, we can hit that wall, that burnout phase where we've lost our motivation and we've lost our sense of willpower. I recently read a statistic that just baffled me. And it was a survey that was put on by the American Psychological Association. And the survey found out that lack of willpower was cited as the number one reason that people said they were unable to make healthy lifestyle changes. So why is self-control so hard? Why is motivation and willpower so difficult for so many people? Well, obviously, it is something that all of us need to tackle. So today, I want to talk a little bit about the psychology and the research behind these concepts to help you and myself find our motivation, our drive, and our willpower. When you look at motivation, first of all, motivation is energy to start. And we all need that burst of initial energy to get moving. And the question is, we all are motivated in different ways. In fact, there's a difference between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. And it's true, some people may be more motivated by money versus being motivated by a sense of connection with people. However, overall, what we find is there are three important parts to amp up your motivation. That's an acronym that stands for three things, AMP. And A stands for autonomy. Your motivation to get started and to get moving is much higher when you have control and you have choice and you have agency about what you want to do. When someone tells you a goal or tells you what you should do, there is a resistance and a demotivation that happens. That's why the power of professional coaching is so transformative, is because a coach is not advising and consulting to tell. A coach is asking powerful questions, getting at the intrinsic motivation that is inside that individual. And when that person takes responsibility, when that person has autonomy and freedom and self-determination, that's when all of a sudden they get excited and a burst of dopamine to help them to start. That's all I needed to start playing tennis when I was at the age of 12 years old, is when I got a racket in my hand and felt the connection, like this fits who I am. I can determine whether I win or I lose. I have no one else to blame. That sense of autonomy motivated me, And of course, it motivates me even today in owning my own business. Now, there's a difference between motivation and willpower, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But let me finish. My original thought was how to amp up motivation. I started with A, which is autonomy. The M in AMP is mastery. There is something inside of us when we choose a topic, a career, a behavior, a particular aspirational goal. There is a drive towards mastery. Abraham Maslow called it self-actualization. Mastery is getting to that place of not just great performance, but it's also getting to the place of fulfilling our potential. And some of us, well, all of us, have no idea what our full potential is in everything in life. What is your business potential? What is your leadership potential? What is your health potential? What is your money potential? So that striving of mastery is something that can feed your motivation. And then the P in AMP is purpose. What we find is that intrinsic motivation is connected to purpose. This is Simon Sinek's work on the why. And we need to understand what is the why. I can tell you for myself, I've had a recent aha that money by itself does not motivate me. Now, let me qualify. Sure, I like making a good living. I like being paid well. It does motivate me. However, there is even a deeper, higher motivation that I have discovered, and that is serving people. That is my word for the year in 2023 is serve. My heart's desire is that I want to serve as many people on this planet before I die. And when you get in touch with your purpose, and of course, strengths and understanding your strengths will give you more autonomy. It gives you a place for mastery, and it gives you a place to tap into your purpose when you know your strengths. So those are 3 ways to amp up your motivation to get started. Now, in order to start, there is also things we have to stop. And this is really when we talk about willpower, another word for that is self-control. I think it's interesting that the Bible actually talks about one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. Someone who is able to control their thoughts, their emotions, their desires, and even their behaviors is thought to have high self-control. Now, the psychological term we use is willpower. Someone who has strong willpower has the ability to control themselves. And if you think about it, we live in the world where there is little self-control or willpower. We want to eat the healthy food, but we choose the chocolate dessert instead. We want to go and be active and work out, yet we sit still, sedentary, watching one TV series after another. We want to go and start our own business, yet we sit at home drinking another glass of wine instead of reading that book, taking that certification. There is a point that we all need willpower and self-control to say, no, I'm not going to drink that sugary soda. I only drink water. There comes a point where you say, no, I'm not going to keep sleeping. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do my physical workout. There comes a point in your career where you say, I'm going to stop procrastinating about my dreams and goals by chasing every video that comes out on YouTube and Googling everything that catches my eye. You have to have the willpower to say no to something so you can say yes to the things that motivate you. And Kelly McGonigal is really the prolific researcher on willpower. She teaches a class on the science of willpower at Harvard and has also written a book. And so I'll quickly overview some key components of how to increase our willpower. Number one is eating low glycemic foods. Did you know that if you eat sugary foods, you will have unstable blood sugar, which leads to less self-control, meaning your ability to say no in other areas of life will actually be detrimental because of eating unhealthy, sugary foods. So that means eating healthy actually helps you have a better prefrontal cortex to help you to be able to make wiser, better decisions in the areas you want to grow. Exercising is also one of the most important parts of growing self-control and willpower. Think about it. You know, it makes you wonder which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Does exercising create willpower, or does people who have strong willpower exercise better? Well, they're hand in glove. So I know this, that whenever you commit to being physically active and making your body the temple that it was intended to be, strong and nimble and healthy, that what happens is you can begin to tolerate discomfort. When you start running to the point where your lungs are burning, when you start lifting weights to the point that you're maxed out and you can barely stand, when you start doing the kind of projects that pushes you out of your comfort zone and into your stretch zone and your growth zone, that's when you begin to create better willpower and self-control. Now, we also know that people who are meditating or are mindful have better self-control and willpower. So that means you're able to handle the distress. I actually did a workshop for a company today on progressive muscle relaxation. And I led them through the process of deep breathing and relaxation. And I asked people at the end of it, I said, how many of you struggled with this exercise? This woman raised her hand really fast. She says, I have ADHD. And she says, oh my gosh, I was fidgeting so much. My mind was racing at all the different places and things that I needed to do. And I said, bingo, you're not the only one. There's a lot of us that have that ADHD tendencies. But when you practice mindful meditation, you actually are learning how to calm your thoughts, calm your emotions, and tap in to emotional discomfort that helps you to have more willpower and self-control. So here's an exercise you can even do in the moment. Take a deep breath and now hold it without breathing for 15 seconds. Did you notice a little discomfort? How did you handle that discomfort? I remember as a little boy, and even teenager, that I love swimming underwater and trying to, see how far I could go back and forth in a swimming pool, holding my breath. And it got to the point that it was painful. But I remember I was able to go from like holding my breath 45 seconds to like 2 minutes and over 2 minutes. And so even deep divers do the same thing, where they are increasing their lung capacity, their tolerance to pain. These are exercises to help you literally increase your self-control. And finally, Kelly McGonigal shows very clearly in research that if you're not getting between 7 to 9 hours of sleep, then you will have very poor willpower and self-control. And so that means turning off the computer, turning off the smartphone, turning off the TV, making sure that you are surfing the urge. When you get the urge to pick up that phone and to get up and distract yourself in the middle of the night, keeping yourself practicing breathing, meditation, prayer is a way to help you to increase your willpower and your self-control. So these are 4 quick ideas to help you build self-control. Now, this will help you to say no to overspending the money that you instead want to save or to pay off a bill. Now, how do you keep this motivation and this willpower going? That's perseverance. Perseverance is that ability to stick with something until it's finished. Excuse me for a moment. Like I said, I've actually had a cough and a cold. It's really been getting me the last 3 or 4 days, which I haven't been sick in several years. And I know a lot of people are going through that right now. But ask yourself, what is a success story in your own life where you chose to do something and you were able to power through and able to finish it? What is that success story? What are the patterns of success? What strengths did you use in that success? What were the values that you believe in and you live that helped you through that success? That's one way that you'll begin to find out your own success recipe for your motivation, willpower, and perseverance. So perseverance is that ability to stick with something. And I know there is a dip, and even Seth Godin writes about this in his book, The Dip, that there is that place at the bottom of the dip where we have to know, do we keep going forward to finish the race, or do we quit and choose to do something else? Many of you are trying to make decisions right now about your career. Do I want to keep going for this career that you are in, whether it's having your own business, whether it's in a particular field, and you're at that dip? Do I need to persevere? Because many times that next moment is where the burst of victory and the light is. But then there is a time in our life where it's important to quit. And when I quit playing football, when I quit being a therapist, and I started playing tennis, and I started to become a professional coach, that perseverance is what I needed to finish and push through until I got those goals accomplish that I wanted to. And two other quick concepts I'm going to hit highlights on, but we're actually going to do another LinkedIn Live on this, and that is self-compassion and regrets. So whenever we fail, we make a mistake, we choose the wrong food, we chase and listen to the video on YouTube instead of taking the certification exam. When we fail, when we have mistakes, when we have that human moment, the question is, where is our self-compassion? And Christina Neff from the University of Texas actually has done quite a bit of research around self-compassion. This is the ability to forgive yourself. And when you are able to have self-compassion and treat yourself kindly as you would a friend, then you're able to stay in the game. And so, again, we're going to go deeper into that into another podcast. But also, I want to hit for a moment on regrets, because I'm almost finished with Dan Pink's newest book called The Power of Regrets. A lot of us here, live with no regrets. And Dan Pink really looks at the science of how regrets, and actually acknowledging our regrets and even feeling our regrets, can actually help us to foresee how we want to go forward in our lives and in our work. So regrets actually help us to look backwards so that we can look forwards in designing the life we want. And this will help stimulate us into an onward projection. So if I was to summarize today, how do you find your motivation and willpower? Motivation is amped up by autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And it is what says, I will start. Willpower is that self-control that is able to say, I won't do a certain behavior. You're able to stop certain things. And then perseverance is that ability to say, I can keep going. And it helps you to stick with what your goals and aspirations are. Self-compassion is that ability to forgive yourself, not just to get yourself off the hook, because you can't have too much of giving yourself off the hook. But it does help you to stay present and to stay connected with yourself. And finally, the power of regrets actually helps you to look backwards to foresee and to stimulate you to your higher purpose and your higher life. So I hope this has been helpful, and I would love to see your comments, your questions in the thread below. So until next time, keep growing stronger, working smarter, and living richer. Bye, everyone.